Hey everybody, my name is Tom Dheere, and welcome to the world's first video edition of the Not Silent blog, which is my journey through the voiceover industry. Today we have with us Rob Siglim-Paglia. Rob is an old friend. We started probably seeing each other, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago when the casting calls around New York City. Rob is a voice actor. He's also an on-camera actor, best known for the 21st, I believe, ranked all-time Super Bowl commercial. Go find it, it's awesome. And he's also a voice actor as well. And he's an author. He is the author of the book Voiceover Legal, which helps voice talents navigate the legal end of the voiceover industry. So, Rob, welcome. Thanks for coming on to talk to us.
Well, I'm honored to be on the first video edition of the Not So Silent blog. It's awesome. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. So the reason why we're having this conversation today is that I noticed that in the voiceover Facebook groups, you had posted some helpful links to help
Yes.
voice actors who are trying to understand what's going on when it comes to financial assistance for entrepreneurs as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. And it was greatly appreciated. I saw a lot of great comments, but I also saw on the Facebook groups that you posted and other ones, other people were commenting and posting information that was just straight up wrong, just complete
Correct.
misinformation. Some of it was just oh, I don't know, or I'm guessing, or I have a political agenda or something. So there's a lot of misinformation going on out there. So I wanted to take some time to sit down with you and help voice actors and any other freelancers, models, singers, dancers, actors, musicians, whomever, that may have access to financial assistance as a result of the pandemic. So let's try to get some facts out there to help some people out.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so we're going to cover basic three main areas today, Rob. We're going to talk about the stimulus check, we're going to talk about unemployment, and we're going to talk about small business loans. So first, let's talk about the stimulus check. So who qualifies for it? How much do they qualify for? And when and how will they get it?
Okay. Well, basically, anyone that makes under $75,000 a year is a single, or a couple who makes under $150,000 automatically qualify. So you'll get $1,250 per person, and $500 for every child on your tax return. And it's going to be automatic. So in a couple weeks, the government's going to start sending they're going to do direct deposits or checks. And the way that I heard how it's going to work, and of course, this is all still developing, all still new information, but they're going to go for the people that filed their taxes for 2019 already, the ones that have the lowest income. Those are the ones they're going to set up first. And if you did direct deposit or direct pay, then they'll send you the money the same way that you paid your taxes or receive your refund. Then they're going to go on to checks. So people that you paid by check or received it, they sent the refunds in. Their taxes in by check. That'll be the second. Then they're going to go on to who filed in 2018, right on down the line. But they said they're going to start with the lowest income first, the people that need it the most. So we'll see how all that works out.
And that's the easiest question that you're going to get today, Rob. I do, to your point, I want to make it clear to everybody. It is Sunday afternoon, April 5th, 2020, and we're going to be trying to give you information based on what we know right now. This could literally change any minute. It could change while we're doing this interview. So we want to make sure that you're aware of that, and we will try to give you updated information if there's any major changes to what's going on, because it's a very fluid situation right now.
Right. Yep. They're still trying to figure out all the regulations and how it's going to work. And when we get to the SBA loan program, we'll talk about that even more.
All right. Okay. So now let's talk about unemployment. So normally, if you are a freelancer entrepreneur, you file a Schedule C, which means there's no withholding in your taxes, which means you're not eligible for unemployment most of the time. However, the federal government is making an exception to make sure that they can get money to people who need it. So, Rob, tell us about who can file for unemployment and how they can do it and how much they could get and and I have a very specific question because we talked about this earlier. What income can or should entrepreneurs, specifically voice talents, declare when they're submitting their unemployment file claims?
Okay, so this is all under the CARES Act, the coronavirus, or the Corona Recovery Economic Stimulus Act. All of these things were passed under that. So what Congress did was they expanded who could file for unemployment. Because like you said, normally you have to be an employee. But now they're allowing independent contractors to file for unemployment also. What they also did was every state has different caps on how much you're allowed to get for unemployment, based on your income. What they did was they allowed $600 more to that cap. That's what this act does. And they also extended the amount of time. So normally it'd be 26 weeks that you could collect unemployment. Now you can collect it for 39 weeks. So even if your 26 weeks is up, like say someone was already on unemployment, now you can go get an additional weeks up to 13 more weeks. So basically what they did was they added $600 toward whatever unemployment was prior to today. And what information do you need? So basically what you have to do, you have to show your paycheck stubs, your 1099s, possibly your Schedule Cs. So you have to basically show how much weekly you earned. And what they do is they take an average. So it's either like a 26 or a 52-week average when you file all the stuff. They calculate it out for you. And basically how you file is just go online. Go on to the Department of Labor website for your state, and there'll be a link. Start put your claim in that way. Put your evidence in, and they're way behind, backlogged on these things. So I don't know. No one really knows when they're going to start paying these things. It could be 4 weeks from now. It could be 2 months, 3 months. We don't know. So just get all the stuff in now. And if there's any doubt, like if you doubt whether or not, or you have a question as to whether or not as an independent contractor you qualify, just file it. Because the worst that can happen is that they're going to say that you don't qualify. But it expanded. This really is they're trying to help independent contractors who are not able to work anymore. So I mean, there's going to be a lot more people that do qualify under this new act.
Got it. Now, like I said, there was a lot of misinformation that I had seen online, which is one of the reasons we're having this conversation. But specifically, somebody said that you don't have to declare 1099 income when you file for unemployment. Is that true?
You mean, so what that question is saying is when you file for unemployment, every week you have to check in to make sure that you're not working. So what they were saying is that you don't have, if you're making self-employed income, that you don't need to tell the Department of Labor that you're making income while you're collecting. And so that's going to be state by state. I don't know. Like you're going to have to check with your state. Generally, you have to tell when you're collecting unemployment, you have to tell the state that whatever money that you've made. They ask that's basically what you do when you check in every week. You let them know that you did your job searches, and you let them know how much money, if anything, you've earned the prior week. So I don't know if they're going to accept 1099 income or not. I mean, it would make sense that they would, because if you're going to be if you were a 1099 independent contractor collecting, I would think that they would want to know what 1099 money you're making as you're going along collecting. That's just me. So I don't like that. You have to check with your Department of Labor and find out what the weekly requirements are as to what they want as far as reporting. So, and that's a continual thing.
Right. So you're saying that every state has their own unemployment laws, and every state has their own labor website. So regardless of what state you live in, you should go to your respective state's labor website and check out how to qualify for unemployment, how to file for unemployment, and how to claim income during any given week.
Correct. Because all the federal government, like the federal government they made blanket rules where they expanded from 26 to 39, and they said you can get another $600, and independent contractors can apply. That's basically all the CARES Act did.
Right.
They didn't change any of the individual states' rules that have always been there. So,
right. Okay. And a sidebar, by the way, the federal government has chosen not to extend the application period for people to apply for health insurance. However, some states have decided that they are extending the application deadline for filing for health insurance. I know I live here in New York State. I know New York State has extended it. You're in Connecticut,
yep,
so I'm not sure if they have done that or if they've
they
addressed
have.
it or not.
Yes,
They have
yes.
extended it.
Yep.
Okay. So, if you can talk about that for a second.
Same. It's the same. Yes. They've also extended deadlines for Medicare, Medicaid, all, across the board, pretty much all the health programs. Not every state, like you said, but New York and Connecticut. So the employers are still, if they're furloughing their employees, they're still picking up the health insurance for them. A lot of them, and that again, that's a state by state thing. So it's hard to talk specifics about it. But that's something you have to check with your employer, and you have to check with the Department of Labor to see if you're qualified to get the extended health insurance benefits.
Right, because some states do have their own healthcare exchange. There's a state version of the ACA, or more commonly known as Obamacare. New York State does have its own healthcare exchange, which I, as a freelancer, participate in. So
Connecticut does too. Yep.
Again, everybody, you want to go check out what your individual states' rules, laws, policies, and guidelines are. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the Small Business Association loan program. So give us an overall view of what it is, and what's the difference between trying to get financial assistance from the SBA website as a sole proprietor, as a corporation, and as a small business. Because a lot of us voice talents are sole proprietors. Some of us have incorporated, and some of us are an actual small business. So there's different parameters.
Yeah. So first of all, you don't have to worry about what your status is as a company. So meaning you don't have to worry if you're a sole proprietor, you're an LLC, or you're a corporation. Any will, as long as you have self-employment income and you're a business, you can file for the loans that are out there. So basically, if you're a sole proprietor or an LLC, if you filed on Schedule C on your taxes, then you're gonna be qualified to at least apply. And there's a couple of different programs that they set up under the CARES Act. One is the Economic Injury Disaster Advance Loan, where anyone who is self-employed can apply for it. They can get a $10,000 advance, and if you don't qualify for the loan, or even if you do qualify, you don't have to pay the $10,000 back, but you can get possibly more than the $10,000 if you qualify for the actual loan. If you don't qualify, then the $10,000 it's kind of like a grant. You don't have to pay it back. Anyone can file for that. The second one is the Payroll Protection Program, PPP. That one went into effect yesterday. This one is the banks don't even know what's going on with it yet. They started taking applications, but they don't know. Some of them did, some of them didn't. They don't know what's going on with it. And basically what this is it's a program where if you have employees and you pay wages, you can borrow up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. So that's the Payroll Protection Program. And as long as you keep paying the payroll with the money that you get, then they'll forgive that at the end. And you can also use it for rent, utilities, and mortgage interest. So any of those things that you pay during this period of time where businesses are closed, then it will be forgiven at the end. Along with that program, there's a bridge loan that you can get if you're have an existing relationship with an SBA lender. So if you already had an SBA loan, or you in the past, or you have one now, you qualify for a bridge loan of $25,000, up to $25,000 advance, where you don't have to. There's no all paperwork involved. You just put the application in and you get the advance. And that goes along with the payroll protection program. So as long as you're using that for payroll, utilities, rent, or mortgage interest, it will be forgiven at the other side. And from what I understand, what is not forgiven. So if you got say you got $100,000 loan and you only spent $75,000 on those four things, what they're going to do is it's going to be a 2-year payback period at 0.5%. So it's still a really, really good loan. And then under these programs, the economic injury disaster loan, the payroll protection loan, the rates are 3.75%. So, the rates are favorable. So if you get more than the 10,000 or more than 25. And then there's also the regular disaster loan program that you can apply for, where, so they've always had a disaster loan program for, what I call ordinary disasters, like hurricanes and things like that. You could apply up to $10 million. So that program's still available now. So you can put all those applications in. Some of them will be, forgiven. Some you have to pay back, but it's still if it's a good opportunity to try to get capital to save, to save your business and to get on the other side of this. So
I saw on the news a couple of days ago that there was a news report that said that some banks will not allow you to apply for a small business loan if you're not already a regular banking customer, and they will not take in new people. And
correct.
also, like you said, there's a lot of banks who don't know how to accept the applications, process the applications, or actually give out the loans.
Correct. Yes, some banks are it's just because of capacity. They don't have the capacity to take on new clients. So if you didn't have an existing relationship with the bank, they're not letting you come in for the first time with these loan applications. So hopefully the bank that your business banks with normally is an SBA lender, and then you'd be able to put the application in, or hopefully there's other lenders online too that are doing these for small businesses that have relationships with some of these lending, like Cabbage for instance. They just announced that they're if you had a credit line with Cabbage, they're processing these applications. So there's what the problem is again, no one these regulations are being written as we speak. So these banks really don't have the capacity to take on all these applications when they don't really know how they're going to get paid back, because what happens when they give the $25,000 as an advance and it's not going to get paid back and it's not a regular customer. So, those are the things they're trying to work out with the SBA to figure out how the program's going to work. But you're correct. There are some banks that are not, unless you were had a previous existing relationship, they won't let you put the application in at their bank.
Do you think the same would apply to credit unions? Because I'm a member of a credit union. There's a lot of people out there. If you're not able to go to a bank, do you think going through a credit union that you're already a member of may be worth trying?
I'm not sure that the credit unions are part of the loan program. That's something you'd have to check with your credit union. But in general, this is the Treasury, the federal Treasury, which is the banks that are doing. That's what the SBA works through. So a lot of the credit unions are private and separate, and they don't. It doesn't go through the. It's like a brokerage house. They're separate. So you'd have to check with your credit union to see. I mean, and of course, they're all different, so there's no way to know like if a particular credit union did do SBA loans or not. But I mean, definitely the federal banks they all do had done SBA loans and are doing these new ones. So
got it. Okay, so before we set up this interview, I did a little viewer emails, and I
Mhm.
asked any voice talents if they had any questions to mail them in, and I would read them aloud. The good news is everything that Rob, that you have already covered, or we agreed that we would chat about, all those questions have been answered, except for one, our good friend Natalie. So I'm going to read her question for you. So
Mhm.
Natalie says, I have a full-time job as a production director for a radio network, as well as my voiceover work. I am currently on short-term disability, around 8 weeks, for medical reasons from my survival job, which started March 9th of this year, a couple of weeks before the COVID crisis. I had also notified my regular voiceover clients of my unavailability for the duration of my surgery recovery. My voiceover business is sole proprietorship / freelance, no business license, etc. Would I still qualify for any SBA benefit? And if so, what and how do I go about requesting that assistance?
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely qualify for the economic injury disaster advance loan. So I would definitely put in an application for that. That you do right on the SBA site. It's a little two-page, pretty simple application. And again, I don't know what's going on with these because I know a lot of people, including myself, that have put these in, but I haven't heard anything at all back from SBA about what's going on with them. But that one you get the $10,000 advance that you don't have to pay back, and that one I would definitely. I mean, that one is available to any small business, so you'd qualify for that one. It doesn't sound like you would qualify for the payroll protection program unless you have employees or independent contractors that you're paying. Um, so I would say that your best shot is the economic injury disaster advance loan through the SBA.
Okay. After this video interview, this is going to be posted on the Not Silent blog. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a list of all of the websites that voice actors can go check out to try to apply for financial assistance and get more information. So we will have that at the end of the interview. So we're going to get a little risque here for a second, Rob. So a lot of
Risque.
people, risque, I don't know if that's the right word, but maybe let's just say risky. Um,
Risque.
so,
I gotta take my shirt off. Come on.
hey now, it's not that kind of video. A lot of people are scared and confused right now and are looking for trusted sources of information.
Mhm.
Those who lean left or lean right are relying on news sources that seem to be more interested in characterizing the pandemic to suit their respective agendas than giving important fact-based objective information that's critical to the American people so they can make good choices to maintain their physical, financial, and mental health. So with that in mind, which do you think are the most reliable sources to get objective, fact-based information? I'm talking print, TV, radio, internet. I personally am watching Governor Andrew Cuomo. We call it's Cuomo o'clock every time his press conference comes up. And I'm also, I have always been a fan of the PBS NewsHour because they are very objective and informative.
Mhm.
I've noticed, a friend taught me that when you watch any news, listen to the adjectives that they use. If they use adjectives, how many adjectives they use and how, hyperbolic those adjectives are. So Rob, where would you recommend that voice actors or anyone get credible, fact-based, objective information about the pandemic and financial assistance regarding the pandemic?
Well, I mean, definitely the press conferences. That's. I mean, that should be up to the moment information. Except unless you live in Georgia, of course. So, but I mean, Cuomo, he seems to be on top of things. Uh, I personally like CBS 88 News in New York. They seem to be pretty objective. And I sign up for the Yahoo News alerts. So I they come from different sources. That's why I like it. It'll come from CNN, or it'll come from New York Times, or it'll come, it seems to, I get the alerts right away when something breaks. So that's what I like the most and the best. And it seems to be pretty reliable. I mean, like any news source, there could be things that are wrong, but um, in Giants, and I can read it. right on the spot. So what's not reliable is Facebook. So,
This is what started this entire conversation. So I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, I mean, there's things on there obviously that are valuable and reliable, but I don't take that as a I make sure I back up I'll look for a different source on Facebook beside Facebook when I see something on there to make sure that it's real, because there's just so much misinformation and hoaxes on there that I wouldn't rely on it for 100% truth, put it that way.
Right, which is why we're having this conversation. So Rob,
Right.
As an attorney and as a freelancer who is, obviously affected by all this, how are you doing? And what adjustments have you had to make with your legal practice and with your actor voice talent business?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, as an attorney, I'm still practicing, which is good. But the courts are courts are closed, so we're doing a lot of telephonic conferences. Not meeting clients, doing this, Zoom basically to meet clients and talking on the phone and email. So that's an adjustment. As far as my production, acting and film production, that's totally shut down. So what I'm doing is, catching up now, trying to get deals ready so that when this passes, we could get back into production on things. And I mean, I'm as far as the voiceover, we're all lucky that we've been working. We were used to working at our home studios. At least I hope most of you are out there. So that's a good thing. That really hasn't changed much, except a lot more Source Connect jobs and auditions, which is fine. So I mean, all in all, it hasn't affected me too badly. I know there's many people out there that are in much worse shape than me. My office, the hours are restricted there too, so that's another way that's affected me. It's a little harder. I wouldn't be able to meet clients anyway, so it's really not. I mean, I could, but unless it's really, really, really an emergency, I wouldn't meet them face to face. So the fact that the office has restricted hours, really, it's just one of those things we all have to put up with. And I just, I want whatever I have to do to make sure that I could contribute to make sure this passes as quickly as possible with as little suffering as possible. That's what I'm for. So.
Sounds good. And have you been noticing whether you're getting more auditions, less auditions, more bookings, less bookings, or about the same as before things got interesting?
Good question. I would say I'm getting less of both for whatever reason. I don't know.
I think
because probably a lot of studios aren't working, I guess. Probably. Right. That would be my guess.
One thing I've noticed that a lot of the studios are having to recalibrate.
Right.
And that's why Source Connect, I think someone posted, if Source Connect became an IPO, they would all become very, very rich. For those of you who aren't aware, Source Connect is a form of phone patch technology where the voice talent can be at home, speak into their microphone, and then using Source Connect, the recording studios or engineers can actually record it into their audio systems. So it's a very clean line of audio. If you do not have Source Connect, I strongly recommend that you get it. For my part, business has been very interesting. I've been getting auditions from clients that I've never even heard of. Some have found me on Google. Some have found me on rosters. Others have found me through referrals. I'm doing Source Connect sessions here at home, and a lot of the recording studios I work with here in New York City and in New Jersey, I've actually had recording sessions at home with them through Source Connect or through a phone patch like Skype. So everybody's adjusting.
Right.
And in some ways, I think the voiceover industry is going to be stronger when this is all over. What do you think?
I agree. I think by the time everyone gets the infrastructure in place, hopefully the virus will be gone. but then we'll continue to use it. I mean, the same thing with law. I think, there's a lot of attorneys, including myself, that are conferencing with clients, over Zoom or, other video technology, FaceTime. And I think that's going to continue. I think that, I think that's a good thing. I don't think we necessarily have to go into the studios as much as we were before, even though it was obviously dwindling. But I think now that this infrastructure is in place, then it's there'll be very little having to go into studios. So
right, I think you're right. Okay, so before we wrap up, is there anything you would like to share? Any words of wisdom, either as an attorney, as a fellow performer, or just as a fellow human?
Well, I mean, I definitely want to make sure that I'm concerned that everyone stays safe. Everyone does their part to make sure that they try to prevent this as much as possible. Not just for themselves, but so that they don't spread it to people that are vulnerable. I see there's still a lot of people that are congregating that I see, and it's disturbing because it's not necessarily for them, but it's for there's a lot of people that I know that are passing away from this disease and this virus, and we have to do all we can to stop it, stop the spread of it, and just get back to normal life. So as a human, that's what I'd like to do. That's what I like to say. And as an attorney, I was trying to find a way, to actually give a contribution during this pandemic, and that was one of the reasons why I posted up on the sites, on the groups about the SBA relief, because it was a way that I can kind of, it feels like I'm contributing a little bit, because I don't know what, I'm not a healthcare worker, I'm an attorney. So it's, if you're not a healthcare worker, those guys, I salute them 1000%. They're right on the front lines, and I'm not on the front lines. So I was trying to find a way to be able to do something. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided, hey, I saw this, this great programs, and let me talk about them. So.
No, that's good stuff. And we thank you very much for your help and your contribution. Just as a side note, when I'm not a full-time voice actor, I am a full-time coach. I'm called the VO Strategist, and I have been leading a series of low and no-cost webinars. So if you want to check that out, you can go to vostrategist.com. Rob, thanks so much for coming on. To access all of the links pertaining to financial assistance that we talked about today, just go to www.tomdheere.com/blog. Thanks for listening. Stay cool and stay safe.